of course, 1% Lifesteal by Robert Blaze. Um, Great book. Great book. Good series. You listen to it on Audible. Of course, as soon as I start recording, of course, there's a train. That works. It's funny for lighting. I have just a simple, let's see, let's take a look here. Just a simple Husky construction light. Oh, I like that. All right. 1% Lifesteal by Robert Blaze. Great book, good series, read by Neil Hennigers, I believe. I believe that's the guy who reads it. Um, I'm not a super big fan of Neil as a narrator, but he has the perfect voice for a darker tone of audiobook, which is exactly what 1% Lifesteal is. It's got a darker tone. It's great. Now, what is it basically? It's set in the genre of lit RPG slash progression series. More towards the progression. No. Now I think about it, no, it's definitely heavy lit RPG. Now I think about the numbers and stuff. So the good thing about it, if you were like me, you've read a lot of lit RPG before. After spending a lot of time in a genre, you start to get a little tired of it. You want a little something different. You're tired of the standard tropes that the genre has. And this is an excellent book for someone who has read a lot of lit RPG, who's read a lot of different progression series books, and you're wanting something a little fresh, a little new, and I like it. It's good. It's really good. Why is it different? Well, they do the magic a little different. They have these things called primal vestiges. And so, the short synopsis of what happened about 100 years ago, all these rifts opened up. Monsters didn't come out, but you could go into the rifts. You could be in a rift the size of Texas. You could be in the rift the size of a world. You can be in the rift the size of a town. And they can have all kinds of dangers. Could be some hellish landscape, could be a tropical paradise. Of course, tropical paradise with velociraptors isn't quite tropical paradise, but all kinds of interesting stuff. All technology fell apart because, of course, it has to. So society collapsed, then society rose again, and what we're left with 100 years after that, I believe the world is called New Nova. I believe that's the kingdom, empire, whatever you want to call the political system that they got going on. It's run by an empress. I can't remember her name, but it's run by an empress. And so the way the progression works, you kill a monster that either comes out from these rifts. I've read so many lit RPGs, it all gets mingled together sometimes. But you kill some of these monsters, you go to sleep, you can wake up with what's called a primal vestige. A primal vestige is Robert Blaze's spin on the magic. Basically, it is a talking, living orb, and this orb has like a certain shtick to it. It has his own little thing. Maybe he increases yields for crops. Maybe he increases an affinity's powers. But he has one unique ability. Then he has one or multiple affinities. And so the affinity side of the magic system is where you get the standard lit RPG, standard fantasy stuff. You have an elemental magic system with stuff like blood, death, holy, life, water, earth, all that stuff, pretty standard. He throws in a little extra, with the holy affinities and undead and stuff like that, but pretty standard, different affinities and whatnot. Now, what I really like about the series, I really enjoyed the dialogue. The characters feel real. Their motivations, their reasons, they're good. And sometimes you read a lot of lit RPGs where they do a whole lot of telling you without showing you at the appropriate times. I know there's a lot of cliche, bad advice given, show, don't tell. But when you're talking about people interacting, if you just say, if you just give a snippet of the argument without giving like the actual argument, then you're really missing out, and you're force feeding a lot of these different experiences for the reader, and it's not very fun. If that makes sense, if you're following me. So he does a good job of dialogue. He does the dialogue really well. I like it. I enjoy it. The world is bleak, but it's well written, and the main character Freddy Stern, got a good Jewish name there, good Freddy Stern. But the world's well written, and Freddy's cynicism as well as criticism of the world feels grounded and well justified. Sometimes when writers write and you can really taste their own political opinions, and sometimes when people write about their own political opinions and their own political ideas, they write from a standpoint of never challenging those opinions deeply enough, or they never went and sought out the depths of why that may or may not be correct. And it shows, because it's like, oh, this person doesn't know how the world works. But that doesn't appear at all in this book series. The guy, he doesn't like the world, and he's got great reasons why, and it's not a bunch of political nonsense where there's some person who doesn't have any clue what's going on about the real world. That's not in this book at all. Now, what did I not like about the book? I didn't like the torture scene. There's a torture scene in the first book. Not a fan of it. Now, I got through it. It wasn't as bad as other books. For me, the worst torture scene of a novel that I ever stomached through was 1984. And that's just, how could you not get through a George Orwell book? George Orwell is the man. Amazing. Everything he touches is gold. There's a few authors like that. George Orwell, everything he touches, just delicious. Creme de la creme. Amazing. Wonderful. When you look at the more political side of writing, I think of like Malcolm Gladwell. He does plenty of things political, more nonfiction with a bent towards self-help. He is very left-leaning, and I don't agree with a lot of his opinions, but man, he says them in such a good way that I'm like, all right, this guy knows what he's talking about here, and that's refreshing. But when you come to this here, the torture scene, it didn't. Not my cup of tea, This comes from someone who got through 1984, but who desperately hates The Road by, I think it's Matthew McCormick, I think is his name. McCormick is the last part, I know that. But yeah, I really hate torture scenes, mostly because like when a writer writes about torture, torture is a serious thing. And unfortunately, there are a group of perverts out there that get off reading weird stuff like that, which is unfortunate. So if you are going to write about something that dark, you need to understand some things about torture. And of course, I've never gone through it, obviously. I've had a great life. But when you read stories like Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl, or you read Tortured for Christ, or Tortured for His Faith, or Mouse. When you read stories like that, or Gulag Archipelago, to become a person who can get through torture and not be bitter, it is a transformation that is one of the most incredible transformations you will ever see. And if you are writing about torture and your character gets through it, I personally don't want to read about someone who's bitter and broken, because the world's filled with people that are hurt and broken, and I don't just want to read another sad story about someone who didn't overcome horrible circumstances. I want to read about a hero who went through some nasty stuff but was able to get even through that bad stuff, to find things in life that helped change him, and he found a way to power through them. That's what I really like, that's not really there too much in the 1% Lifesteal. He handles it pretty well, but the character, it's not like he has this metamorphosis in a good way. He survives, and now his shtick is, well, I can handle pain, which, like, I don't know, it's not the best. Not the best. A lot more you can get from surviving that than just I can handle pain. Now, one of the things I really liked about the book was how he used his ability, 1% Lifesteal. If you couldn't guess from the title, how does he use his ability? Exactly how you'd think. He gets 1% Lifesteal from killing life. So what does he do? He grabs a sickle and cuts grass. Exactly what I would do. It's really satisfying when you come across a character who has a unique ability. He uses it in unique and satisfying ways. To me, at least, that's unique and satisfying. I like that. Of course, I'm a little biased. I was listening to the audiobook while I was sickling some field. I was cutting down some weeds with an old-fashioned sickle, and so it was very satisfying hearing about that character stealing life from the weeds as I was also whacking the weeds. I like that. So in conclusion, the world in this book is filled with powerful people who really only seem to care about themselves. And Freddy doesn't want to be just beholden to these feudal lords who are stuck up evil people. And so he wants to go out and become a powerful individual who can just live his own life, have his own destiny. That's his story. And so far, it's great. Only 2 books out on Audible, 3 books out if you want to read. Great story, lots of potential there, and I really like it. So there you go. Hope you had a good day, and have a good one. Bye-bye.